right now, let's talk a little LSU football as all your transfers are now belong to us. Does anybody know what that's a reference to? Old video game. Badge, all your base are now belong. Okay, it doesn't matter. Great write-up by Wilson Alexander in The Advocate on this. A former top 40 recruit. In fact, the number one player in the state of Louisiana for 2022, according to 247 Composite. Aaron Anderson, he was back in 2022. He was committed to LSU for 10 months. They fire Ed Ogeron. He backs off his commitment. Where does he go? Well, you already know. He goes to Alabama. He did not play this last season at Alabama, and now Brian Kelly continuing to hammer the state of football mantra, Louisianimals, everything else, trying to get those who have roots here back here. Brian Kelly and company convinced their first transfer portal signing to return to Louisiana as Aaron Anderson has left Alabama and is coming home. This is a 5'9" guy, big-time recruit, like I said back in the day. And we can get into kind of how he fits into the larger wide receiver room, and we have to talk about that because I believe that it is clearer than ever that goal number one must be taking advantage of that group this year. You cannot waste that talent a second year in a row like you did this previous season. But, Jake, if you want to talk about immediate impact for the 5'9" receiver, returning the ball, right? We talked
about to go there.
Like we talked about, like you don't have anyone on this roster. You couldn't find anyone on this roster. He seems like even if he never, he'll play in the offense, but even if he never does, he brings immediate value returning the ball.
Yeah, 6,000 yards of total offense in high school, but more importantly to this conversation, 20 return touchdowns in high school. And his senior year, if you remember, a game on ESPN2 when he was at Carr against Curtis, he had 3 house kicks in that game alone.
I don't care what level you're at. Three returns for touchdown single game is absurd.
So, T, I'm with you. I mean, it's a great point because a lot of people are going to think offense, but the return game has to go way up. You averaged 2.7 yards per punt return this season.
What?
That is bad. You only had 40 total return yards all season long. That is bad. Now, you gave up over 10 yards per return, and so that's something you got to get fixed too, which I think they got that part fixed. One of the few things they got fixed there on teams. The return game, though, did not get fixed, and so it's got to go way up. And I know punt returns are more difficult in college now because you have the shield punt, because there's not the 5-yard rule. As soon as the ball snaps, you can get down the field. I understand all of that. But teams had some returns on you. You had none on them, and also kickoff returns as well.
Yeah.
Like, you started to put Noah Kane back there, which credit to him. Look, catch the ball, get north-south, get what you can. That's what it was. It was like, hey, try to get between 25 and 30 yards if you can. Now, potentially, you have a dynamic returner that you can put back there and can, make teams scared when they fail to kick.
Exactly, right? You just want to put, on top of getting rid of hit and lost yardage by guys letting the ball bounce, on top of just like solid 5 and 8 yards, yes, make them respect it at least. Make them question, okay, do we want to kick to this guy, or do we have to try to angle this thing out of bounds and just get as much as we can because we are afraid of the implied threat? And maybe Anderson could be that guy. He seems to have the perfect skill set to be that guy. I like a 5'9" returner. If you're to ask me my ideal height for a punt returner, like 5'9" would be right in there. It's always weirded me out how, now I know he's more of a kick returner, but how good Cortero Patterson is at returning kicks when he's so giant. But whatever, that's another thought. So now he joins a wide receiver room that'll have Kayshon Boutte, Malik Neighbors, Brian Thomas, Chris Hilton, Kyron Lacey, and Landon Ibieta. You also have the freshmen coming in, Shelton Sampson, big time, Jalen Brown, Kyle Parker, Kai Preen. These are all really highly rated recruits. Obviously, Jake, for a second year in a row, your most NFL talent is in that room.
Yep.
And I said it throughout the year this year. The biggest problem with the offense this year, and I would say the biggest critique of Jaden Daniels' style, was as good as it didn't allow you to take advantage of your best room, right? So there's a lot left on the table there. You could be doing much more with the receiving core this deep and this good. And so priority number one of the offseason, especially with Keyshawn, priority number one has to be to take advantage of this group more. I need multiple guys pushing 700 yards by the time this thing is said and done. Like, you cannot leave so much talent unmined.
No, I agree with you. Even if it's getting them involved in the game plan by any means necessary. If it's, hey, we're struggling a little bit today to throw the football. Hey, get in the slot, turn around, let's throw it now and make a guy miss.
Yeah.
If it's, bubble, anything like you're talking about, T, to get the ball in the playmaker's hands, even if you are struggling, like we saw, not many times, but we did see it a couple of games there for LSU down the stretch, certainly. So it's the most talented room. Again, even losing Jack Bech to TCU, it still has a ton of playmakers in it. It has a guy in Keyshawn Boutte who was still, even he didn't have the year that he wanted to, if he comes out, he's a top, 50 draft choice for sure.
You think
Yeah,
still?
he's going in the top 50. And he came back. He wants to come back. He wants to better, obviously what he did and what the team did this year. So you have to take full advantage of that. And then you go and you get some key pieces that you felt like you needed, like a returner, like maybe a slot receiver. So this room, yet again, the most talent on the team. But like you said, you got to take full advantage of it. You can't go disappearing for some of the games.
No. And, receivers, look, you have guys, too. And, again, that 5'9" height makes me think maybe he, slots right in there in the slot if you want him to as a little quicker, speeder guy. But you have guys, Jake, that can threaten the field now at all the different levels. And you have a tight end in Mason Taylor that can be a dependable, maybe do a lot of the dirty work over the middle in that group. But, you have to be willing to take shots. Great receivers create chunk plays. And we have seen the value of explosive offense in modern-day college football, right? Look no further than some of the best teams from this last year, a la Tennessee. And so, yeah, that's – but, again, that's a very obvious – and to Jaden Daniels' defense, he came into this thing late, joined as a transfer. He didn't have a ton of time on task. He wasn't the number one guy, so even when he's getting reps, he's not necessarily able to just get all the reps that he would need. Well, okay, there is no excuse now. If you decide to return, you have a full offseason with this crew to get all your timing down, to trust your reads, to evolve your reads, and to be willing to attack downfield. You have the personnel. Now you have to do it. And I think this is and obviously it's a bit of a symbolic win as right as well. The prodigal son returning home, taking him back from the evil clutches of T-Town and returning to BR. 9 of the 11 wide receivers that we just named from Louisiana.
Yeah.
As Wilson Alexander points out.
Yeah, and I can't think of a player, Chad helped me out, of a player that's transferred from Alabama to LSU. But so, you get a Louisiana guy back home and you get him back from a school that you compete against every single year. And I'll read this quick. This is from Andrew Ivins, who is the Southeast recruiting analyst for 247 Sports when Anderson was coming out of high school, and said should provide immediate special teams value for a college football playoff team. He has that kind of skill set. Given how elusive he is with the ball in his hand, seemed destined to eventually emerge as an impact inside receiver on Saturdays. Ability to create space on jet sweeps, we just talked about, quick screens, could help him avoid a red shirt, although he did get injured. Track times in high school, 10.76 in the 100-meter dash, which will excite NFL scouts as well.
Yeah, and I think I'm seeing that, he had suffered a knee injury in the offseason, but he got back Vanderbilt week this year. So that does explain maybe why he didn't have the immediate impact at Alabama, as it's really tough. If you're a true freshman, you have a knee injury, and then you're trying to join mid-season. But it also means that you're getting him after he is fully recovered, should be back to 100%. Yeah, A-Bar to the chat. Michael Lewis, the beer man, 5'8". Okay, perfect.
Darren
returner
Sproles,
height.
not even 5'8".
No, 5'6", right?
Yep.
Tiny boy. I feel like Dante Hall was probably 5'9". Had to be. Dante Hall is still the returner that I think most of when I think of most best. Dante Hall, 5'8".
Wes Welker.
There
Wes
you go.
is, 5'8"?
Geez, Devin Hester, a tall boy at 5'11", your cousin.
Yeah.
How about that?
I mean, that's how we roll.
Yeah, Cordell Patterson, 6'2". That's wild. All right, so that's a big-time get for Brian Kelly.